soul song for rejuvenation.
Islamism.
Islamism.
Islam.
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 Happy holiday.
Happy holiday.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you so much for being a part of our Friday Holy Day of Rest reading meeting of the Mauresh. We're so glad that you could be graced by Allah Himself to travel the circle of the seven, be with us once again, that we can remember Allah, we can honor Holy Prophet, and that we can activate our divine and supreme Moorish superpowers in our homes, in our earthland, in our bodies, in our minds, through the universe. Thank you so much once again. We praise Allah. We've highest honors to Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We've honors to you, just for honoring Drew. Islam.
Islam.
Mobilis, start us off with our Moorish prayer. Happy Holy Day.
Happy holiday. Allah,
The Father of the universe, and the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God, and my salvation, by night and by day, through His Holy Prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Islam.
Islam.
Salvation, Allah, unity. The divine constitution of Mauresh America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Mauresh America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Mauresh America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh assists the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to law, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known for the citizens of Mauresh America. The bylaws. Act 3. Love, truth. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Mauresh America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 5. No organization of Mauresh America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey thereby. Islam. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founding father and founder of the divine constitution and bylaws of Mauresh America. Islam. 10-point scale. Order, organization, loyalty, faith,
Firmness, fortitude, dedication, expectation, courtesy,
and
joy.
Now I declare this meeting to be open according to the circumstance and the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Islam.
Islam. We rise giving all praises to Allah, highest honors to Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and honors to you for coming through. Islam.
Islam.
And happy Holy Day.
Happy Holiday.
Chapter 8. Yehoshua reveals to the people of their sinful ways. In all the cities of Orissa, Yehoshua taught. At Katik by the riverside, he taught, and thousands of people followed him. One day a car of Jagannath was hauled along by scores of frenzied men, and Yehoshua said, Behold, a form without a spirit passes by, a body with no soul, a temple with no altar fires. This car of Krishna is an empty thing, for Krishna is not there. This car is but an idol of a people drunk on wine of carnal things. Allah lives not in the noise of tongues. There is no way to him from any idol shrine. Allah's meeting place with man is in the heart, and in a still small voice he speaks, and he who hears is still. And all the people said, Teach us to know the Holy One who speaks within the heart. Allah of the still small voice. And Yehoshua said, the holy breath cannot be seen with mortal eyes, nor can men see the spirit of the Holy One. But in their image man was made, and he who looks into the face of man looks at the image of Allah who speaks within. And when man honors man, he honors Allah. And what man does for man, he does for Allah. And you must bear in mind that when man harms in thought or word or deed another man, he does wrong to Allah. If you would serve Allah, who speaks within the hearts, just serve your near of kin. And those who are no kin, the stranger at your gates, the foe who seeks to do you harm. Assist the poor, and help the weak. Do harm to none, and covet not what is not yours. Then, with your tongue, the Holy One will speak, and he will smile behind your tears, will light your countenance with joy, and fill your hearts with peace. And then the people asked, to whom shall we bring gifts? Where shall we offer sacrifice? And Yehoshua said, our Father, Allah, asks not for needless waste of plant, of grain, of dove, of lamb, that which you burn on any shrine you throw away. No blessing can attend the one who takes the food from hungry mouths to be destroyed by fire. When you would offer sacrifice unto Allah, just take your gift of grain or meats and lay it on the table of the poor. From it an incense will arise to heaven, which will return to you with blessedness. Tear down your idols, so they can hear you not. Turn all your sacrificial altars into fuel for their flames. Make human hearts your altars, and burn your sacrifices with the fire of love. And all the people were entranced, and would have Yehoshua as a god. But Yehoshua said, I am your brother, man. Just come to show the way to Allah. You shall not worship man. Praise Allah, the Holy One. Me.
Islam. Thank you for helping us open and guide our meeting. Holy Day of Rest, Mauresh reading meeting. Beautiful recitations from you. More biases.
Islam. I bear witness that nothing deserves to be worshipped except Allah, who has no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. After this, I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. I begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful.
So, let's see. Can you find page 210? You get there, say Islam.
Islam.
From biography, Noble Drew Ali, Exhumed of the Nation, Third Heaven Adept Edition through Swift Angel number 1, Elihu and Pleasant Bay. Give me one moment. We'll leave that there. And let's see what Holy Prophet and his angel gonna have to say, all right?
Okay.
And you got the ball. The Moorish nations are not Ethiopians, a need-to-know history of Jamaica. People familiar with the Holy Prophet often ask the question, why do Noble Drew Ali teach the Moorish?
They are not Ethiopians.
In addition to,
They're not being Negroes, colored folks, or black people.
after all, Ethiopia is an African country. The Holy Prophet answers this question by giving the origin, definition, and historical uses of the word Ethiopia. He said,
What does Ethiopia mean? Ethiopia means something divided.
the present-day land called Ethiopia is not under its original true and divine name. That land mass was first known as ancient Sheba through Cush's Rama. There were many other names for its people depending on eras and dynasties. For example, Axumites, Meroites, Meluha, Sumerian, Napatans, Habesha, Arabic, Cushite, etc. Often referred to as the Mother Race, its region covered what is known as the Upper Blue Nile, the beginning of ancient Kemet, Egypt's original name, across to Yemen, southern tip of Havilah, later named Arabia. The seven-shaped continent was known as Ameshim, or Aksum, or Akubulan, which modern misnomer is Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are descendants of ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word
Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amixem, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the Father and the Son.
This is the origin and intended definition of the word Ethiopia. A demarcation of the earthland is the ancient science which sets invisible boundaries that are aligned with its solar and divine orbital life. Some of these transparent lines used to this day are the equator, longitudes, latitudes, Ethiopia, or your basic north, east, south, and west, etc. These lines are drawn to keep man in harmony with the clock of destiny, which he uses as ages, eras, seasons, and government. None of these measurements and directions is tangible, yet they constitute growth to manifest life that man must come to know. Such is the true meaning of the word Ethiopia. Ancient Sheba, Shah Abiya, produced the infamous Asiatic Queen Bilqis, Queen of Sheba, whom united kingdoms with King Suleiman. In fact, the line of Judah and the house of David can be traced from here. The reader is asked to please do not be deceived by the Europeans' modern geographic makeover of the continent of Amexem or his misnaming of its people. Investigate and research what the Honorable Drew Ali has brought you of these histories. The word Ethiopia derived from the great founding fathers of East Africa's holy lands and originally means something divided. Islam. Those on the Cush side of Ethiopian line begot the Cushites and their descendant tribes, for example, the Sheba, Havilah, Sabra, Sheba, Dedan, Menrod, etc. Later, on the other side of the Ethiopian, his father Ham and the rest of the tribes and nations inhabited the northwestern and southwestern of the dominion of Africa.
The Hamitic tribes and their brethren from the Holy Land of Canaan included the Hittites, Amorites, Sidon, Hittites, Jebusites, Archites, Chemethites, and Moabites from the land of Moab.
Islam. The latter are the founders and the true possessors of the present Moroccan kingdom. Others established kingdoms known as Tunis, Tripoli, Algiers, Mali, and Mauritania. All of these tribes and kingdoms later compiled the Moorish Empire, which gave birth to a
clean and pure nation
known as
the Moorish Americans.
They were from the Hamitic nations of Northwest and Southwest Africa, including the Moors defeated in Spain, Italy, and Greece, which peopled the African slave trade. The European slavers throughout North, Central, and South America's Atlantic islands distributed these enslaved African nationals by the millions over a period of 400 years. Here in the West, students have been miseducated to the word Ethiopia. They were taught the word was coined by the Greeks to mean burnt faces, burnt lands with burnt people, or some other form of blackened by white excrement. The truth lies in this simple answer. Where was any pale-skinned persons when the gods of the Nile first charted the stars, navigated the seas, traversed the deserts, and paved the continents for civilizations to prosper? Moreover, had they ever seen a sun-kissed man or woman when the continent of Africa was being circumnavigated? These Moorish millions were never stolen from the Kushite dominion of Northeast and Southeast Africa. In fact, like Cush, they too are descended sons of Ham. It must be remembered the Ham lineage of sons Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan founded many of the great civilizations and ancient governments, for example, Babylon, Philistine, Sheba, Phoenicia, and Kemet, Egypt. Like so, there were many nations, tribes, and kingdoms existing to this day, from the Rock of Gibraltar to the South African Cape on the west coastline of Africa, too numerous to mention. This part of Africa became the womb from which her children were aborted into U.S. slavery. True history and maps of this entire area of Northwest and Southwest will reveal this parcel of Africa was under the Moorish Empire from 649 AD to 1890 AD. For this reason, to this day, the community of those tribes, nations, and kingdoms are known as Moorish. It is very important to note that the land called Ethiopia was among the very first to become civilized in the form of a permanent government known as cities. 20,000 years before this, African governments were mobilized in their civilizing of the earth's lands. Here in modern Americas, most people, especially the so-called NBC people, Negro, Black, Colored, are inclined to accept the modern European name of people, places, and things as authentic, original, and true. Rarely do they investigate and research these nouns to their divine and national titles. Worse yet, if they do learn the truth, more than likely the custom of Western falsehood will still be more appealing. Yehoshua, who was of Moabite and Canaanite descent, is a prime example of this. And the African slaves did not name themselves Negro, Blacks, Colored, Ethiopian. Guess who did and why? The question and answer is key to understanding Moorish. Who are the Jamaicans, etc.? The origin of a word, a people, or any manifest is its beginning in the ideals of man. The divine origin is what the great God created the subject to be. The 2,000-year Piscean age has included the Europeans' plight to conquer the nations of hue by separations of them from their divine and earthly origins. Basically, this means all of Africa, its people, and works became the victims of pale skin interpretations of what their limited languages could describe. The origin of modern day of Jamaica, the origin of the modern day nation of Jamaica is rooted in the West African slave trade. Nearly 90% of these island populations today are descendants of these inhabitants. However, these Jamaicans are not the first Africans to be indigenous there or the other Caribbean islands. Who are the Jamaicans, etc.? The origin of a word, a people, or any manifest is its beginning in the ideals of man. The divine origin is what the great God created the subject to be. The 2,000-year Piscean age has included the Europeans' plight to conquer the nations of hue by separation of them from the divine and earthly origins. Basically, this means all of Africa and its people and its works became the victims of pale skin interpretation of what their limited languages could describe. Paragraph 2. A native history is a sacred legacy of a people. It encompasses all their accomplishments and failures. A history is always poised to project them into their creative destiny, minus errors of the past. The ancient Moors were a seafaring people for over 10,000 years and were accustomed to traveling the Atlantic from West Africa to what is now called the Americas, Mexico, and the Atlantis Islands, Texas. Often they would use the ocean highway known as the North Atlantic Drift or the Gulf Stream. This waterway of blue warm waters would naturally carry anything floating from the Gulf of Mexico to West African coasts. They had people the islands and used it for trade and produced after their separation from the one earth land. Siboneyes, Arawaks, and Caribs were the names of the original natives of Umaka, the true name of the island. The name Jamaica is actually a Spaniard mispronunciation of Umaca. It was the Arawaks who discovered a Portuguese slave trader who later became an explorer for Queen Isabella named Christopher Columbus. What the Arawaks discovered was Old Chris was rather lost at sea. The inherent trait to be hospitable had blinded the Arawaks to saving the Spaniard's life in 1494. By 1655, this Arawak nation of Moors had been completely exterminated by the Spaniards. The cross-bearing Europeans who had been christened by Spanish rulers rejoiced at this pogrom and blessed it as a conquest of the heathens, as they did with many other annihilated nations which they labeled as Indians. Conquest of the heathens later became known by the word genocide, the final solution, Nazi Germany, or today's ethnic cleansing.
Most people assume that most people assume all the enslaved Africans were captured and brought straight to North America. Actually, the majority never left the slave-breaking islands of the South Atlantic and the coastline countries of Mexico, Central and South America. Most of those brought to the United States were of marketable broken wills, dehumanized and filled with the fear of God. See Masonry. Millions came through the door of no return from Senegal, West Africa, unto the Caribbean islands. To this day, it is these descendants of West Africa whom inhabit the country of Jamaica.
In 1655, a British admiral named Penn, the father of William Penn, who discovered Indians already using the land he named Pennsylvania after himself, beat up the Spaniard and took Jamaica. The slaves people, although children of African descent, became British subjects in the British Commonwealth. It remains that way until 1962, when Jamaica gained its conditional independence, conditional due to a 40-year purging clause. Those Jamaicans born before the 1962 independence are classed as British subjects, and those born after 1962, the declaration would be true Jamaican citizens. By the year 2002, Jamaica will legally come into her own. Ironically, there is a separate tribe of the Moorish in the highlands of Jamaica, noted for fighting the British and anyone else. They too are Moors, but by them being so isolated, they are called Maroons. All Jamaicans know of them. Divine leadership born unto Jamaicans. The Rastafarian community of modern Jamaica, at its behest and its teachings of the holy Marcus Mosiah Garvey L., is due honor for its studious and industrious acts in developing their nation's own religious creed.
Noble Drawley said, "The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess its own." MHK 4715. The key word here is to be certain it is your own. Arguably, this is the only reflection on Marcus Garvey L. and Prophet Noble Drawley.
Prophet Noble Drawley and his Jamaican-born harbinger, Marcus Mosiah Garvey L., 1887 through 1940, were in this era as Yehoshua and John were 2,000 years ago. MHK 48:1-3. Together they brought the Moorish sons and daughters of ex-slaves everything necessary to save themselves from 400 years of wrath. Islam. They brought everything and sold it. In the breast of the coming fourth generation. They both warned, if there was anything else better than love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, then Allah must have kept it to himself. Islam.
Allah heard the cries for redemption from the Moorish peoples in Jamaica and sent them their own prophet, the illustrious Marcus Mosiah Garvey L., holy messenger. A few years following his exile from the United States, Jamaica was twice blessed to have also born among them an Archangel Gabriel of song, Bob Marley, Robert Nesta, 1945 to 1981. It is normal for Allah to birth a forerunner to prepare the minds of a people to receive a coming prophet or a prophet from among his wayward nation to be redeemed. Quran 14:4. It is normal for Allah to birth a forerunner to prepare the mind to a people to receive a coming prophet, and a prophet from among his wayward nation to be redeemed. It's not unusual for Allah to send a messenger to emphasize the works in the post-era of a prophet. What is a rare act of divinity? What is a rare act of divinity is for one nation to receive both within the same lifetime, as is with Marcus Garvey L. and Bob Marley. All of Jamaica needs to heed the divine works of their wise men. Jamaican independence is not accidental, and as they thrive to their fullest, it must be from the strength rooted in the Arawaks and West African forefathers, collectively called the Moorish. Although the Rastas worship Yah Allah, thought the personage and genealogy of Haile Selassie, Ras Prince Tafari, the line of Judah, Emperor of Ethiopia, 1930 to 74, it will not make Jamaicans into Ethiopians or vice versa. The true and free national descent name of the inhabitants of Jamaica is Moorish. They are children from the old Moorish kingdom of northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Remember, if all Jamaicans, Haitians, Trinidadians, other Atlantic Islanders, and those of eastern coast of Central and South America, if they could appear on one continental stage and required to keep their mouths shut, no one in the audience of humanity could tell them from the Moorish in North America. Man must be correctly identified in order to be recognized by the nations of the earth. Just because man uses a word to describe another man, the meaning and origin of that word does not make a man be that a special word. Read that again. Just because mankind uses a word to describe another man, the meaning and origin of that word does not make a man be that a special word.
Question 90. Can a man be a Negro, Black, Colored, or Ethiopian? No. Question 91. Why? Because man is made in the image and after the likeness of God Allah.
The Nile River is Allah's most glorious showcase of rivers on earth. It ends forming 4 other rivers that surround the pre-biblical Garden of Eden. It begins from the 5,000-foot elevation of the Blue Nile, Abai, and the White Nile, Hapi, in the heart of Africa. The White Nile actually begins at Lake Tucson in Nyanza, over 26,000 square miles, and travels over 2,000 miles to meet its sister, the Blue Nile. There they meet in modern-day Sudan to form the Nile. Not typical of most rivers, the Nile flows from south to north for over 4,000 miles to the Mediterranean. It is the longest river in the world and is so powerful from its merger that it flows through 1,000 miles of desert without support of any other river tributary. The right olive-skinned people of the highlands and valley of ancient Sheba of the Blue Nile region were known by many names. The Greeks called them Ethiopians, and was later passed on to the Roman Ethiops, which meant burnt face. To the Hebrew tribes, they were called Cush, or Cush, which meant God in land. Most Africans called it Axum, or Amexim, or Ethiopia, or ancient Senor, Senegal. It was the Arabs that called the land Abyssinia. However, it was the Greeks, Romans, and the nations of Europe which used the word Ethiopian to denote any person of hue, namely those of African, Indian, or Asian descent. It was used similarly to the Spanish word for black, which is Negro, during the U.S. slavery. And today, the word Ethiopian is used synonymously with the words Negro, black, and color to identify the African slaves. It carried the same degrading effects as all other slave labels, which depicted a people as something lesser than their own godliness. Needful to say, the word Ethiopian was further used to deplete the true heritage from the enslaved descendants of Northwest and Southwest Africa. All of the above, plus those unnamed, are Moorish, and they all are monotheistic Muslims.
The Holy The Holy Prophet divinely instructed the Asiatic nations and countries in North, South, and Central America, the Moorish Americans, etc. All of these are Muslims.
Note, all await the awakening of the Moorish Americans as they hold the key to civilization and
The uniting of Asia.
cannot be without them in their rightful place. The Moorish American will capstone the pyramid of the return of the ancient Moabites, Canaanite, Hittites, and Amorite brothers for the first time in ages. There will be the linking yourselves with the families of nations. Islam.
Islam.
Turn to page 389. We'll get there. Say Islam.
Islam.
All right. From Ma'afa, slavery, into Islam. May Allah's canopy of peace and blessings be upon all the prophets. Your religion, is it through the God of your forefathers? According to official records, chattel slavery in the United States of America only lasted from 1779 until 1865. During this time, 86 years, the U.S. legally supported chattel slavery from its presidents and constitution to the enactments of the Black Code laws. However, in memorial honor of the more than 500 million people of Africa, which perished in this system of inhumane genocide, it took from 1492 to 1865, nearly 400 years, in order to break the mental back of these former Muslims. The year 1492 was the year the Moors lost their 800-year battle of civilizing the nations of Europe, and a former Portuguese slave trader named Christopher Columbus found the world was round and had millions of other people already using it. According to the certified documents of the Spanish Crown, it was September 3rd, 1501, that marked the beginning of the African slave trade. On that day, a Portuguese vessel carried the first cargo of kidnapped Africans to be Christianized in Spain before crossing the Great Atlantic. On April 1502, the first of millions of Moorish slaves arrived onto the Spanish colony on the islands of Hispaniola. With these dates in mind, on April 2002 marked the 500 year of American slavery, which includes 135 years of post-13th Amendment hostage taking and mental enslavement during the manumission of the Moorish Americans as a people. This is the true Holocaust to the human family, and there is no memorial built in the nation's capital to this day to say never again. Perhaps because the NBC in their present state of absolute vulnerability do not have the assurances guaranteed to all other nations signed under the International Genocide Treaty. One does not honor the true value of the marvelous light until forced into utter darkness. Likewise, for one to honor freedom in all its glory, one must have reached the depths of slavery. Noble Drew Ali was the first to be authorized and ordained to bring true Islam to the children of former slaves in America in 1913 AD. Since then, there have been scores of daddies, fathers, rogue leaders, false prophets, and silly saviors with claim-jumping attempts to part of the works of Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, aka Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The common goal of these fame seekers is to be recognized beyond the grave for their version of Islam and or Moorish science. For a period, it appeared to be more rabid redeemers of the lost found than there were people to save. Their multiplicity was largely due to two factors. One, the people were still suffering from mental slavery, which they still have now. And two, the religion of Islam was presented as new and Arabian sculptured to the Western world.
This brings us to our subject and warning. If you are a child of former slaves in America, be careful of the version of Islam you accept. It may not lead you to paradise, and it may enslave you again.
We stand and pray because Allah directed Drew Ali to teach us this way, according to Surah 4, 101 to 104 ayats of the Great Quran. We disobeyed this Islamic law in 1492 and were in prostrating prayer position when Queen Isabella and Queen Ferdinand killed thousands of us during Jummah services. The ones not killed, tortured, or jailed in that year were forced to begin the worst system of slavery ever known to man, chattel slavery in the Americas. The Quran commands us to pray standing or with sword in hand on horseback anytime we are in the territories of the enemies of Allah. Here in the U.S., with its freedom of religion and separation of state and church, the government is still 99% Christian, Islam's natural enemy. For those who close their eyes and off their feet have been warned. There is a time for every knee to bow. Just be sure you are protected when you prostrate, or you may get up a slave. If you are not within your own sovereignty with Islamic rule, you may be on enemy grounds and therefore unsafe to prostrate. Like most birds of a feather, Arabians tend to favor Arabians over other nationalities, be they Islamic or non-believers. They prefer all nations to dress as they dress and speak as they speak. As all Muslims need to learn Quranic Arabic in order to get the interpreted essence of Allah's readings through Muhammad, all Moors need to learn the ancient garbs of their forefathers. True Moorish garb is the celestial clothing not designed by the styles and fads which fade with time. They are today good as they were for our parents millenniums ago. The only time Moors need to dress as all other Muslims dress is during Hajj. Otherwise, every nation proudly demonstrates their own customs. How you dress can be a part of your test. Nations are planets as Allah has placed each one in its own orbit so they may complement each other and glorify their Creator. Moorish American Muslims should stay in their pure and clean orbit until more divine instructions come along. And when, not if, but when you revert to Islam, quote unquote, revert to Islam, go in your proper person and identity. Like any prodigal child's return, the Father will receive your submission more piously when you bring the honor of your mother with you. Bring your mother to your father, and now you accept it. Honor your mother. Honoring your mother gives added strength to all who return to Islam. To honor our father, your nationality, the free national name, don't leave home without it. Honoring your mother gives added strength to all those who return to Islam to honor our father. Your nationality, the free national name, don't leave home without it. Entering Islam. There's an ever-present danger to every degree of freedom sought when escaping from slavery. The most infamous of these is when escaping from a slave master. The route to freedom may lead most freedom seeker into the welcoming vice of the slave catchers. Slave masters and slave catchers share a common observation. They see qualified slaves as their God's gifts to free men with power. Of course, African males, females, and their litter have made the best slaves since the fall of man. This sheds a tremendous amount of light. Today's Moorish seeking escape routes from the enslaving masters of the USA, Freemasonry, and the Moorish science temples into the Arabian version of Sunni Islam. Once they take the Shahada, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. They think they are free, safe and home. They look back at their NBC Christian brothers as though they are infidels, dead and deserving of Allah's wrath. How could they have possibly forgotten that Arabs are still the world's greatest slave catcher of Africans, bar none? Going from various degrees of Western enslavement to Arabian Islamic enslavement is like jumping out of the frying pan into the fire itself. What in the hell are they thinking? Oh, hell has been home so long, it is what they naturally think. Dear readers and truth seekers, be advised these lessons are neither public relations nor propaganda plugs for the Moorish Science Temple of America, nor proselytizing for Sharif Abdul Ali. These are thought stimuli founded upon
one truth never contradicts another truth.
And
one truth never contradicts another truth. And if he can get us to thinking, we can save ourselves. No drama.
No, what you are coming into, and your faith will not be blinded, nor your sincerity misled by the beauty of its entrance that surely awaits you. To begin the essence of your Islamic tour, we will start at its origin. Islam means peace and is one of 99 attributes of great God Allah. All attributes of Allah is Allah and are pathways emanating from Him to Him. Islam was first created by the first God-man when he realized his fall from divine consciousness. It became a three-step ladder of thought leading from his center to the master center. True Islam has very little to do with rituals, customs, and congregational behaviors. It has always been an inward journey which returned man to his God state. Thus is love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, mercy, right, etc. Allah is spirit and has no equal. Therefore, there can be no partners, nor can Allah be divided into trinities and factions, as are often seen through the carnal eyes of man. Man himself is not the body, nor the soul. He too, like unto his Father, God Allah, is spirit. The bodies and the souls of men are created things, and are absorbed with time and will pass. But there is no death to the spirit man as long as Allah lives. But man fell through misuse of his godliness and gratification of his lower thoughts. He became lost in his own carnal manifest and strayed from that path of consciousness that made him one with Allah. Thus, the need for Islam. Islam is the straight path of peace, leading from the heart of man back to the heart of Allah. This direct way is the way of the prophets and those who have not strayed.
With that said, it will do well for readers to remember another saying of Noble Abdul Ali. Allah gives no good without its admixture of evil. For those of us who are freshly freed from the indescribable system of slavery ever endured by a people, we must not accept it, what they say is Islam, without first checking its lineage to the first religious creed of our forefathers. All versions of Islam today are not true Islam. Just because a billion Muslims are doing the same thing does not make it right. Carnal man loves to follow and not to lead because by his nature he is a creature of habits. Before belief can become faith, man must first separate the immutable from customs. It will do well for the readers to remember Muhammad was a prophet who needed to redeem his paganistic people of Mecca. At that time, they were all serving all kinds of idol gods because they had strayed away from their original African creed of Abraham. So he returned them to Islam. There are no sects in Islam, as it is quoted pure and clean in the great Quran through Muhammad, Surah 30:32. Contrary to popular beliefs, Prophet Muhammad did not bring Islam, nor did he perfect Islam. Islam has always been perfect since first given to man by the great God Allah. Islam is the name of the one great religion that was brought in portions by all the prophets, from Adam to the prophet of Ali in America. All the major prophets received their divine minister degrees from the same ancient Kemetic mystery system, either directly as did Moses and Yehoshua or by an angel as did Muhammad. Like all divine works of art, Islam was not named by any of its messengers until Prophet Muhammad Mustafa ibn Abdullah perfected it into Arabic for his polytheistic people. Surah 5:3. For this reason, he is the seal of the prophets. Perfection cannot be improved upon, thus, no other pathway from man to Allah will ever be brought to the children of Adam and Eve, the human family. Although there are no sects in Islam, there are different versions of this one faith, depending upon which nation or follower presents it. There are many Islamic entities, but the greatest known variations are Sunni, Shiite, and
It says Shiite, but it's really Shia.
Shiite, and Sufi. Basically, all Muslims want to be in accord with the Great Quran and being in a state of Islamic denial. Most followers will not admit there are many sects in today's Islamic religion. Nevertheless, these unclaimed and denied sects under the auspices of the Islamic system began immediately upon the death of the Holy Prophet Muhammad.
When Ali returned to the Moors, what Ali returned to the Moors is pure and ancient Sunni Islam. A holistic way of life is void of slavery, evil, and the taking of life in any form. The Moors must remember history. It was the Arabs, under the guise of Islam, that tried to completely destroy the ancient Kemetic mystery system, the Al-Fatiha straightway, during the conquest of Egypt. This sacred system was the first religious creed founded by the Moors as the true salvation of mankind on earth. Drew Ali said, "This is
the old-time religion, Islamism."
And he returned it to the Moorish of America for the first time in many ages. Albeit the Arabs advanced their version of Islam across Africa, they found the Moors of West Africa already possessed the ancient system. In fact, the Moors had been the chief keepers of ancient mysteries since before they ruled as Phoenicians, Carthaginians, or Tamari, gods of the Nile. These teachings were in their purest form and were used by the Moors to introduce civilization to Spain, France, and Italy. The ancient mysteries has always been taught in degrees, and all graduates had pure hearts and minds. From the word of mouth, sacred temples and schools come the alumnus with degrees entitled God, Prophet, Messiah, and Angel, Master, etc. Some of the African scholars were Yehoshua, Moses, Gabriel, Michael, Solomon, etc.
Islam.
So,
All praise is due to Allah. We praise Him and we beseech Him for help, and we ask for His protection, and we seek refuge in Allah from the mischiefs of ourselves and from the evil of our deeds. Whomsoever Allah guides, there is none who can lead him astray, and whom Allah finds in error, there is none to guide him. O Allah, help those who help the religion of Muhammad, the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and count us among them. O Allah, disappoint those who try to disgrace the religion of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and do not make us of those. Surely Allah enjoins the doing of justice, and the doing of good to others, and the giving to the kindred, and He forbids indecency and evil and rebellion. He admonishes you that you may be mindful. O servants of Allah, remember Allah, He will remember you. Call on Him, He will answer your call. And verily, remembrance of Allah is greater than everything.
Islam. Chapter 25, A Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given ye so. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. I mean,
It's long.
it's
Happy holiday.
happy holidays.
Peace and blessings. Thank y'all very much. Let Jergo and Sean take us out. If you can be on your way out as well. Contribution. Unity.
I'm gonna back. I'm going to we need to pretty good with these meetings, huh?